You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group and co-hosts Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian from OptionPit.com, Andrew the Rock Lobster, Joe Benazzi from OptionPit.com, and Henry the Flowmaster Schwartz from Cboe. The Option Block is brought to you by Cboe. Cboe's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Cboe Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively Cboe. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the Cboe products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Thursday. We're back in the Chi-Town studio and ready to roll with another episode of your bi-weekly options extravaganza, known around the globe as the Option Block. My name, of course, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Radio Network. Reminding you, if you're not subscribed to the full network, man, you are missing out on some gold. Make sure you check that out wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And, of course, if you want to go above and beyond, this is not available wherever your favorite podcasts are available. It's only available if you head on over to theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Once you go there, you get your own special, super secret podcast feed that has a couple of extra shows in it, all sorts of other fun exclusives. You're going to get all the stuff from OIC first, theoptionsinsider.com/pro. Some giveaways, all sorts of fun. The official after party of all views. Check it out. It's a good time, if I do say so myself. And speaking of good times, we're set for a good one out here today because we are joined once again by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, who may or may not be able to say his trademark thing. You want to just get it done with at the start of the show, sir, so we can move on?
I think that's a good idea. You cool with that?
Go for it.
Never before in the history of the entire stock market has there ever been a better time to sell than today, May 14th, 2026. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are again at new all-time highs.
There you go, listeners. So if you too are tired of even he's starting to get exhausted by his trade. You know it's been maybe the bulls getting a little bit stretched when even Uncle Mike is like, yeah, all-time high. Yeah, here we go.
Pretty much, but I will deliver for our loyal listeners.
Hey. People come to the dance for a reason, and for a certain select crazy few, that might be one of them. So by all means, you got to give the people what they want. And on the Thursday show, you know what they want. They want a taste of the Flowmaster. Mr. Flowmaster, welcome back to the show. Have you recovered from your OIC trip last week, sir?
I have. I am back in New York and happy to be here. But our OIC in Palm Beach was beautiful, and actually stayed for a nice little tradier client event. And I got to say, Mike, wasn't the best time to sell about like half an hour ago? So
Well, I said the date. I said the date, not
okay.
the time.
Today, I see.
See, we're so spoiled on this show that if the all-time high doesn't happen right as I say it, it's confusing. But in years past, it has to be the date is the rule. So, but
I gotcha.
You're not used to it because we've just had so many new all-time highs happen right on the show lately that it's craziness.
I got it. I think the Thursday curse has absolutely been broken, and now it's maybe a Thursday blessing.
Yeah, Thursday buy.
Exactly.
Buy with both hands whenever the Flowmaster shows up on the network now, listeners.
There you go. Finally turning the corner.
Yes, as it is time for the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the trading block, the portion of the show where we break down what the heck is trading out there. And as we joked at the top of the show, if you couldn't figure it out, yet more green. If you said to yourself when you woke up today, you know what would be nice? A 7,500 level in the S&P. Well, you got that today and then some. The S blowing through 7,500, the Dow 50K. We don't really talk the Dow that much, but every once in a while it makes for a fun, ridiculous round number. And today would certainly be that day, you know, on the backs of just a whole bunch of stuff. Interesting, because earlier in the week, the CPI and PPI numbers coming out kind of hot, not really injecting a lot of life into the market. But the retail sales kind of holding strong, which has kind of been a factor for consumers for a while. They're surprisingly resilient out there, even they're getting smacked in the face with whatever it might be, tariffs, energy prices. They're still out there buying. Americans like to buy. So that at least one ray of optimism. Of course, a big AI IPO coming out today as well. So if you're tired of these other firms that are kind of dipping their toes in AI, you want to go whole hog into just those two magical, seemingly unstoppable letters. You got one of those kind of lifting spirits on the street today. That said, the Flowmaster did point out we were higher earlier in the session. We are kind of coming off those highs a little bit now. Actually, S&P dipping below 7,500. Gas, shock, surprise, terror, Chicken Little, sky is falling. Only up about 0.75%. Dow up about 0.75%. NASDAQ up 0.85%. VIX cash, when we kicked off the show, right around 17.75, down about 0.25 point. We'll see where we hang out right now. People get flummoxed by that number. They see the market rallying for weeks on end, and VIX remaining stubbornly persistent. They forget at the end of the day, movement is vol. It doesn't really matter what direction we're going in. And so if we're exploding to the upside 1+% a day for weeks on end, vol's still going to stay bid. And I'm sure Henry will get into a little bit later of his VIX tool to show you what's bid, what's offered on the calls and the puts out there, where all this VIX juice is coming from. But right now, still hanging out pretty much where we were on Monday, right around close to that 18 handle, a little bit below it. VVIX at a 97, down 1 point. So the vol of vol also remaining stubborn, also remaining persistent out there. And let's kick it off. Let's go out to the Flowmaster first, because we'll come back. We'll give Uncle Mike time. Maybe, who knows? Maybe we'll set some new all-time highs by the time he comes around to join us. Mr. Flowmaster, you've been a busy guy. First off, hopefully you had a chance to rest at home for the past week. You didn't get sent to, I don't know, Madrid since the last time I talked to you, sir. And what's been catching your eye since we chatted together in the Southern studio?
Well, you know, I have had some time to relax, which is great, but the market has not relaxed at all. And as you said, it's, you know, we swung. I mean, I recapped April, which was an up 10% month, and man, it's just continuing. I did a little hit for TD this morning on their trading network, and you know, mentioned that the bullishness that, you know, that we see, besides the fact the market's been going up, but in volatility terms, I put out a note on the fact that about 44% of the liquid single stock options out there have a upside call kink that's higher than the put skew at the 25 delta, which basically tells you that the market's pricing in a better upside probability than a downside probability. And you know, the question is really like, is this speculative excess, or is this like, you know, during COVID we saw the same thing and the market was up 50%. But this, I mean, this strong rebound from the bottom, which was just about 6 weeks ago, we're now looking at numbers that are the Russell's up 15% year to date. I mean, S&P's up 9.5% year to date. It's only the fifth month of the year, people. To see Dow back above 50K. I mean, I think I might have mentioned on the show, but I vividly remember Dow 15K and Dow 10K, because at Dow 10K they were parking news trucks down on in front of the New York Stock Exchange, and Dow 15K we actually made hats at Trade Alert and sold them on Zazzle when the Dow went through 15. So
Zazzle
50K now. Yes. I believe we might have made $80 or $90 on the, but I was very careful to make sure the logo was an accurate chart of the Dow data. So it's I don't know what to say. You're right. Volatility is holding pretty firm. Even on a day like today, we're up 50 handles in SPX, and VIX is basically unchanged. So it's not a normal kind of beta to volatility. And we'll talk about kind of the reasons for that. But, everybody is kind of looking at this market bounce. And I think everybody's a little bit surprised, given that the Strait of Hormuz is still closed and we still got some issues. But here we are.
Here we are indeed. And since I last saw you, sir, how many more times have you done the State of the Industry? 6, 8?
There's 3 more times. I did it today for 52 minutes internally. And
there are people internally who still haven't seen it? What have they been doing?
Maybe they were bored and they just wanted to spend an hour digging through the data. But it was a lot of fun, because every time I do it, you get some really interesting questions. I did a version of it for the retail Tradier user base and got some great questions. I got to say, I think the questions might have been better than the questions we got during OIC. So it's always, I think most people know, you learn a ton when you're trying to teach people.
There you go, listeners. So if you missed it, that will be coming to the network soon. We'll have to grab Henry's slides too, because Henry's talks are always very visual. And if you're just listening to the audio, you're missing out on part of it. So we'll give you that on the website there as well. So you could follow along beat by beat, step by step, if you didn't make the journey to OIC. And I know I didn't see you down there, so I'm guessing you did not. Then by all means, you can listen to it on the network after the pro folks get a chance to have a run at it. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, the floor is now yours. You have been waiting with bated breath. What's catching your eye? And I will say, we talked about it before the show. I will say I got up today and I was listening to my morning briefings as I'm getting going, and I heard the dreaded ticker of Cisco. And I thought, Cisco, big moves in Cisco. Shame I can't talk about him on the show because Uncle Mike has banned that ticker forever. So what do you have to say, sir, about what's catching your eye out there in the market today?
Well, to give our audience a little bit of background on that, I made a bad trade in Cisco 15 years ago in the very early days of the show. And to show that we are honest men on this show, when bad stuff happens, we really hold each other to the fire. And Cisco is living proof of that, because Mark has never let me hear the end of that, including today. But today, Cisco Kid was a friend of mine, even though I'm not in it by any means. But I like the song by War. That's an old 70s band, great tunes. They also sang The Lowrider, but that was another one of their hits, Cisco Kid. And today, Cisco is doing pretty well, so that was always exciting. Some things that I have this is possibly one of the most unique covered call portfolios that I've ever had going into expiration, in that there's a stock in the portfolio that's actually down 5%, and I'm actually kind of happy about it because it's Qualcomm. That's the one where we cut the fat hog in the butt by selling the 138 calls for $6, slightly out of the money at the beginning of this expiration cycle. And we're doing pretty well with that, we thought. But now Qualcomm, of course, went well north of 200. But now it's down 5% of the day, and it's at 200. So it's really not liquid enough to do anything with, so we're just going to let it get called away. But we have that happening, and yet we have another stock that just we were very bullish on, at least bullish within the covered call realm, if you will, and that was Taiwan Semi-Conductor. And so that was at, I think, 370 or something like that at the beginning of this expiration cycle. And because of our bullishness on it, we sold a 410 call. That one actually went in the money today, and that one is up 4%. So this whole month has been very unique in that I'm looking at these covered call stocks in that one of them's up 5%, the other one's down 5%. And overall, it's been a very beneficial month, or expiration cycle, I should say. But it's kind of nerve wracking to see so many stocks up and so many stocks down with how it's been. And these are theoretical, boring dividend paying stocks, or at least some of them are anyway. And so what that's telling me, and it's not telling me that, just not being under a rock is telling me this, is that this market is very isolated with what's going up and what's driving this market up to the new all-time highs. And it's just a few names that are really knocking the cover off the ball. And so some of the stocks that I have collars on, for example, one of the strategies that I like to do is do long-term collars. You find stocks that have an overabundance of call demand, and you can set up for like a 0 to 10% risk reward. And that's something that I'll do for people in the boring section of their portfolio. So it's always fun for me when clients say, oh, what would be something good for a more conservative section of my portfolio? Well, let's buy some AMD. I always lead with that. And then, of course, then I'll say, well, we can set it up because the call premium is so much greater than the put premium. We can go 2 years out and set up like a 1% risk to a potential 25% reward. And so I have a lot of stocks like that. And so right now, with that section of the portfolio, I have my covered calls are in the money blues. And it's like we had like AMD, for example, we had it set up to where back towards the beginning of the year, we would go 2 years out and we would buy an at the money put or slightly out of the money, so about at the money. And so we would also buy the stock and then also sell a 260 covered call. And we could do that for even money or close to it. And by doing that, you're getting $60 of potential upside over the course of a 2-year period and no downside. Who wouldn't want that? Well, I mean, assuming you can handle having AMD, and now I have this, and there's a lot of other stocks that are just so ridiculously in the money that I just like with clients like, what do we do with this? I'm like, well, you're up about $100 on a $26,000 on a $20,000 overall trade because it's just so far in the money right now. So we'll just wait it out and see what happens. But stocks like that are what's really driving up this market. And what's going to be interesting to see is, and I've said this for the last few weeks, at some point in the next few months, interest rates are going to become a point of focus again. I really believe that. And the Fed can't keep the punt team out there forever. And so they're going to have to crap or get off the pot in terms of raising or lowering rates, in my opinion. Are we going to try and lower rates because that's what the president wants, or are we going to raise rates because we have inflation? Whatever the case may be, we're going to see what's going to happen over the course of the next couple months. And when we see that, and AI is not going to be quite the focus, but who knows, maybe just buy AI and stocks will go up forever. You never know. But what's going to be interesting to see is if once we have that and AI is not in focus, will the other parts of the market become more of a factor? Will we get the financial sector to rally the market? Will we get things like that to come on board as opposed to it just being AI? And that's the story to tell of 2026 in my opinion, of are we going to have another 20% up year? I think that's where it's going to have to come from, because I could be wrong, but I'm not sure AMD can go up to 800 this year or any of the other crazy stocks. So that's what I'm seeing right now. A lot of interesting things happening. And an odd options insider trivia fact: the last time we talked about Cisco on the trading block, I actually went on YouTube and played Cisco Kid Was a Friend of Mine. And that's when I learned you can't do that because then YouTube bans you. So I didn't do that today.
Yeah, they tend to take a dim view on that sort of thing. Is the market taking a dim view in terms of options volume today, or are they lighting up the tape? The answer is it's pretty active out there, listeners. We got the VIX already over halfway to its ADV. Its ADV coming back down to a more seasonally appropriate 750,000 contracts right now. But today already at 425, so there's a chance that we might see a little bit of that ADV getting exceeded out there, which would be nice. It's been a little while since we've had a raucous day in VIX options. Maybe a little bit of upside is just what the doctor ordered for VIX out there today. Who knows? The hot option out there, though, is still to the dark side. It's 21,000 of the June 18 puts. If you're wondering, exactly 50 cents is what those bad boys were changing hands for. Would you be a buyer of the 18 puts for a good old 50 cents, or would you be selling those bad boys, listeners? This would be a great time to ask you this if the poll functionality is working again on Twitter, but alas, it is not. So you'll have to just shout into your podcast device of choice, and I will pretend that I can hear you. Number 2, real quick, let's do a top 5. 20,000 of the May 24 halves. Number 3, 17,000 of the May 19s. Number 4, 16,000 of the June 20 puts. A much meatier put. Those are $1.50. So would you pay $1 more for the 20 put versus the 18 put? Again, another fun question that I will never know the answer to. And number 5, 15,000 of the May 29s. Those going for a raucous 12 cents. Clock is ticking on those bad boys. Can we threaten a 30 handle by VIX expiration next week? If past is prologue, the answer is a resounding no, but those going up for nearly 13 cents today. Looks like paper was buying them. Now, there is OI, so they could be buying them back, but wild stuff. Is it wild stuff in SPY land? The answer is yeah, pretty active. Almost 7.5 million contracts. The ADV is a little bit north of 11, so well on their way to hitting their ADV today. So SPY likes a good explosive upside day, just like Uncle Mike, and it's reflecting that in the volume today. The S, same deal, 3 2/3 million contracts. The ADV is 5 million, so they are within spitting distance of that as well. Small caps, one of the few, I won't say a laggard. This is pretty much just a little bit light of where we expected. We've come to expect it about 1 million contracts at this portion of the show. And it's only, I put only in air quotes, 950,000 contracts on the tape. By the way, small caps up about 1/3%. So they are kind of playing a bit of the laggard card out there today, which is kind of interesting. Lagging in volume, lagging in terms of percent of their ADV, and then also lagging in terms of the other indexes out there today in terms of performance, roughly half of what the other major indices are turning in. The ADV, 1.65 million. So, I mean, it passes prologue. It probably will get there, but interesting stuff out there. Are you slinging some small caps? Maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later on the old TWIFO. And then the Qs, who can forget about the tech-heavy NASDAQ? It's all tech all the time. 4.05 million contracts out there. The ADV, 6 2/3. So the Qs kind of right in the sweet spot of where we've come to expect them this time of the show. What about single names? Are they in the sweet spot? The answer is no. They are ripping the cover off the ball out there today, listeners. So a lot of action out there in the single names to the tune of, we are threatening 500,000 contracts already, listeners. 486. In fact, you know what? Let's fire up the old Flowmaster platform and let's just see. Maybe while I was talking, we gapped up. Yes, we did. All right, 502. So pretty much exactly 500,000 contracts to break into the top 10. That is definitely a certified banger. Our certified banger is 450. So 502,000 contracts. That is nothing to sneeze at. That gets you to our old pal, Micron. And you know what? You may not be familiar with this color in Micron because it is actually red today. It's off nearly $20 or 2.5%, trading right around 785. You know the deal with this stock by now. I don't need to belabor it with you. Up 68% over the past month. It was right around 450. Not even a month, 3 weeks ago. And now it was over 800, got up to 812. By the way, looks like you weren't the only one caught unawares and unprepared by this massive move in Micron. The analysts who are supposedly paid for this also caught unaware. B of A raising their target today from 500 to 950. Gotta love that. If you wonder why we take a dim view of analysts on the network, there you go. Stuff like that. If you're that far off, maybe just get out of the game. Clearly you were wrong. Just love it. We were off. Let's just double our price target because why not? That's the kind of analysis people pay for out there, listeners. Either way, number 10, Micron, 502,000 contracts. Number 9, getting into Uncle Mike's realm. It's the monster. Looking a little bit more monstrous today. Strategy up about 12 bucks or 6.75%, trading 190 exactly right now. So a nice little pop here for the monster. They're up 38% over the past month. Interesting stuff, because if I go check Bitcoin, I don't think Bitcoin's up 38% over the past month. So kind of interesting action out there in the monster. Number 9, 509,000 contracts on the tape. For good old MSTR, number 8. This is another one that you'd be forgiven for forgetting that they can go down, because this thing, you think Micron had a wild month. I mean, Intel, I don't even know what to do with this name. They are actually red today. They're off 5.25, about 4.5%, trading right around 115. They're still up over 80% for the past month, listeners. And if you go back a little more than that, you go back to the end of March, they're still about 3x. They were right around 40 bucks at the end of March, and they got north of 120. 132 was their 52-week high. Just wild stuff. I mentioned last week I ran into an old trading buddy from the Intel pit down at the OIC conference, and it was kind of fun just reminiscing about what Intel used to be versus what this unchained beast is now. Very different beast. Number 8, 546 on the tape for Intel. Number 7, another one that's an interesting beast these days. What are they under this new regime and also in the era of AI? I guess we'll find out. The market not loving them today. Apple selling off today, off about half a buck, trading $298 in the third. They actually sold them off to $295.38. So I guess Tim Cook getting on the plane with Trump, they're not liking that. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there's rumors of they're butting heads with OpenAI. Well, there you go. Negative AI headline will definitely lean on a stock these days. Number 7, the fruit company, 571 on the tape. Number 6, Mr. Softy. They're rallying a bit today, a little bit north of 409, up about $4 or about 1%. Good for number 6, 598,000 contracts on the tape. Number 5, this is one of the ones we were talking about recently, kind of just a wild one, and apparently back on the radar today. Ondas, ticker symbol ONDS. Talked about this one a few times in the odd block, I believe on oddities as well. Popping hard today, $2.34, or about 26.5%, trading 11.25. Revenue forecast raise and a defense backlog. This stock's obviously had a good run, and they're looking pretty good. Talking about some strategic acquisition as well out here. I'll have to dig in and see what that is. But either way, Ondas, number 5, 618,000 contracts. And I'm sure if we do a little bit of digging, I'm sure it'll probably be a whole mess of calls. How much you want to bet, listeners? Let's see. Yeah, it's the 11s, actually in the money calls now. Trading about 55,000 times. Obviously, they just had earnings, by the way, if I neglected to mention that earlier. It's the 11s. Average price for those 24 cents, so that's about what they're worth right now, so not a bad little do. The 10s also, 41,000 of those going up for about 55 cents, so looking pretty good on those as well if you're buying those, and looks like paper probably was. All your favorites, the 10 halves, the 12s, the 11 halves. Pick an upside call strike. You pretty much got to go all the way to number 10 in the top 10 to find the first put. It's the 10 put expiring this week for about a quarter. If you're buying those, might be out of luck. We shall see. Either way, number 5, Ondas. And then this one, equally surprising. This is the name we always make fun of. I believe I call it the dumpster fire that is Ford. Mr. Overby talks about how wherever this stock is the cheapest, he will trade options. Well, apparently he has to raise his options floor now because Ford having a nice little run here. Popping yesterday about a buck and change, popping another 86 cents today, or 6.3%, trading right around 14.5 bucks. Now you might say, what's a 3%, 6%? What's the big deal? All these AI names are tripling in a day, but this is Ford. This is the dumpster fire that is Ford. Apparently making some forays into energy storage. So maybe that whole EV experiment where they hemorrhaged billions of dollars, maybe it was an entire waste after all. But either way, it looks like the market all of a sudden grokking to this little bit of love. Just look at just you want to see what I'm talking about, the dumpster fire that is Ford. Look at a 5-day chart of Ford. It did literally nothing for 3.5, almost 4 of those 5 days. And then all of a sudden, late yesterday, bam, off to the races. Someone woke up and said, wait a minute, they got some battery storage over there, and bam. It went from pretty much exactly $12 up to $14.44. Now, past his prologue, you sell every pop in Ford with both hands. Who can recall that rally up to nearly $30 on the back of their Rivian stake? Folks were buying 25s, folks were buying 30s, and the Rock Lobster and I were laughing at those and selling those. And so we'll see. Maybe this is a new era of Ford. But either way, Ford back on the radar today, which is a surprise in and of itself. 656 on the tape out there. I got a feeling maybe we'll hit some of that in the either in the odd block today or coming up later this week on oddities. Some activity going on out there. Number 3, this one's just a wild one today. Finally taking a pause for breath. These are our buddies, the sneaky Finns. It's Nokia. 14 1/3 off $0.33 today. This one, I mean, just off to the races, doesn't even begin to describe it over the past just week. The past week it's up 16.5%. And again, this is sleepy Nokia. This name has sat around and done nothing. You want to see an example? Go look at the chart. Over the past year, from pretty much May through February of this year, it was up a bit, but it wasn't the rocket ship to the moon like the rest of the market. It was kind of just doing its gentle drift up. And then all of a sudden, just the Finns awakened to the magic that is AI. Number 3, Nokia 730. At this point, we all should just start saying AI every day because you're popping 20%. Tesla actually taking a pause today as well. 444 on the tape for them, off a $0.50 today. Tesla putting up 1.91 million contracts for the number 2 spot. And the big dog today, NVIDIA. I mean, NVIDIA is an untamed beast these days as well. You know, Jensen gets on the plane, and the market likes it. Up 7 1/4 today, or 3.2%. Gone are the days when 212, I believe, was the all-time high. Blew through that, got up to 216. Got higher yesterday, and today another $8 and change. 234 is where it's hanging out right now. And it hit intraday right around 236.5. So if you're wondering, where's your benchmark for new all-time highs in NVIDIA? 236.5 listeners, putting up 3 3/4 million contracts for the number 1 spot today. It was still a hot name in earnings this week. We had Uncle Mike's beloved Cisco after the bell yesterday. We had Ast's Space Mobiles on Monday, as well as him and hers. I know more than a few of you sling that out there. Rigetti, another name we haven't talked about in a while. Hot on the quantum side. Marathon, a name we talked about quite a bit on oddities, as well as on shows like the Crypto Rundown, all popping off after the bell. Circle before the bell on Monday as well. So some hot crypto-related action on Monday. And then, of course, we actually had GoPro after the bell on Monday as well. So a hot day there. Wednesday, we also had Alibaba on Wednesday as well. So a lot of names popping off this week if you want to just dive into a little bit of direct names. Of course, on this today, before the bell, and everyone's beloved AMAT after the bell, as well as Stone Cold popping off after the bell as well. So still some hot stuff on the earnings front. If you want to check out all the earnings move result, and earnings season reports, then head on over to the website, theoptionsinsider.com. Click on the Options News and Articles tab to begin your journey to the dark side as we continue our journey into the odd block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's get down to business with a little bit of weird and wild activity, courtesy of the Flowmaster. And first up on the docket today, we're going to revisit a name that he and I were chatting about live and in person at OIC last week. This is Hyperliquid, ticker symbol PURR, P-U-R-R. It sounds like the water pitchers, pure, but no, add an extra R on there for resilient, because it's popping another $1.18 today, trading 7 1/4. You recall this one. This is the way if you want to buy the Hyperliquid token, aka Hype, but you don't want to mess around with a crypto account for whatever reason. This is a way to get it in your securities account, and also maybe trade some options against it, which is not the worst thing. Either way, PURR, I keep wanting to say pure, but PURR, looking pretty hot today. You know it's hot on the year as well. It's been a good year for some hype in the crypto space. If you've been listening to our Crypto Rundown, you know that it has been hanging out in the top 10 of market cap for about a month and a half now. So interesting times out there in hype. Mr. Flowmaster, what hype do you have for us about hype?
Yeah, this is just one that I have to point out. I mentioned it on at OIC when I saw you, and it was not necessarily an option flow play rather it was kind of what I'd seen that hyperliquid platform do. And it's not. And we talked about this. The tokens are not ownership of the platform, but the tokens get used for trading. And while I haven't traded on it because it's not permitted from the US, I know a lot of people talking about it. In fact, at OIC, it came up. So I did buy a little bit of that of the stock, which just holds the tokens. It went from $6 about 2 weeks ago to 6.5 when we were at OIC. It's at 720 today. So and the volume has picked up. And like I said, I'm not a huge crypto believer personally anyway, but this one sure as heck worked out. I mean, that's a run of about 18% in 2 weeks. And I'm trying to scale out of a little bit of what I bought, but it's a fun one. It's always nice to make some money. And but I will also say, the way the market's moved in the last 2 weeks, you probably could have thrown a dart and done pretty well.
Well, let's see if we can throw a dart or perhaps do a little bit more precise analysis and see what we come up with. How about let's go out to ticker symbol FIRMI. We've talked about this one before. No, it's not Fermi Labs, listeners. This is adjacent out of Texas in the construction side of the space. Ticker symbol FRMI. Trading 7.25, up about a quarter. Maybe that might be a fun flash poll if we could do so. Which would you rather buy? PURR or FIRMI right now, both trading a little bit north of $7 out there. On the year, it has not been the same type of year for FIRMI as it has been for PURR. They are off almost $26 or about 78% on the year. Most of that coming last year. They topped out around $37 and pretty much never really looked back. They've been selling off pretty aggressively. I guess on the flip side, if you want to look for a little bit of a ray of optimism, they sold off to about $7.50 back in December of last year, and they've kind of been drifting around this level ever since. Actually, they had a little bit of a pop in February up to nearly 12 and then right back down again. So I guess if you want to look at ray of sunshine, they haven't really sold off too much more since where they were at the end of the year. But on the flip side, they have not regained those lofty levels from about a year ago. That said, Mr. Flowmaster, maybe that's about to change. What did you spot out here in FIRMI, sir?
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting one, and it's funny that you mentioned Fermilab because I have been out there to see can't see the nuclear collider, but you can see the buffalo that are roaming around Naperville. So this one showed up yesterday, and on the day yesterday, the call volume was 98,000 contracts. The put volume was just 7,300, and that was I noticed it around the middle of the day, I believe. There was basically some pretty aggressive buyers of the November 15 calls. They started, maybe it was slightly in the afternoon, but a couple little drips early, and then basically around 3 o'clock when the stock was at like 578-ish or so, they really started buying them. 34,000 of those November 15 calls were bought. Basically, they kind of went from 25 cents to 50 cents very quickly. I did jump into the stock at that point, and sadly, I only rode the stock for about 15 cents, and then I got out, and that was when the stock was around, 6.15. So, and today it's up $1.20 at 7.20. So that's a huge mover. They did have earnings. I'm not sure if that was really the catalyst, but they did beat. They bit, and I believe that they do power related work for AI data centers. So I believe just kind of part of this very, very bullish wave that we're kind of right in the middle of in terms of AI, and you can see it in today's Cerberus IPO as well. So I don't know if I would I don't know if I would jump into the stock now. With stock already up 20% on the day. What we actually see for the most active today is the May 6th puts. Those expire tomorrow. Could be closing. Like those are trading kind of in the 15, 16, 17 cent range, down to about a nickel. And there is some open interest there. But this was kind of a fun one. I mean, we've talked about this before, but when the markets are very frothy, which is kind of what we're seeing lately. I mean, that run up 10% in April and then up another 3 or 4% last couple of days. the unusual option volume, especially kind of watching for these aggressive call buyers, is seems to kind of work pretty well, because what you have is just a lot of people chasing the longs and looking for places to kind of put their newfound wealth to work.
You're right. This is a REIT, so but not the sleepy REITs we're used to talking about, right? Which buy commercial real estate in Manhattan or something. No, this is a REIT, but they're in the super sexy world of AI infrastructure. They're trying to build, I should say, a grid-independent power and computing campus for AI. So there you go, listeners. And their biggest project, which is Project Matador, what a name, is going online in Texas apparently soon. So that's probably why this little bit of pop. Nat gas, solar, and battery storage, and nuclear all combined in one. So hitting all the power needs of this one. By the way, if you're wondering, when's the last time we talked about this one? It wasn't that long ago. And these are coming home to roost right now. We talked about, at the time, listeners, a lot of action on the 6 strike. This is back on the April 20th show, so about 3 weeks ago. And the stock was $5.50, so obviously a wee bit lower than it is right now. People were loading up on the 6 puts for about $1.11. Those obviously not looking great. And then we also saw about half an hour later the 6 calls trading for about 75 cents. It is possible they were putting up a synthetic, but there's a lot of time in between the two. So if you bought those 6 calls for around 75 cents, you're looking decent right now. But that said, that shows you had to wait a while for those calls to come to fruition. It was pretty much today. In fact, this morning, the stock was below $6. It was $5.85. So you had to wait till pretty much today for those calls to pay off. So you paid some decay on those. You got in a little bit early, but either way, FIRMI looking kind of hot out there today, listeners. Let's keep rolling out here. Let's go out to another fun one, because we're having fun on the show today. When you think sexy, hyper-scaling AI-related names, you know what names leap to mind, listeners. You got your NVIDIAs. You got all the other fun ones out there. But you know what? Throw all that away. We're going to talk about Aramark. Yeah, who doesn't think about AI and Aramark in the same breath, listeners? Of course, they are the corporate cafeteria people out there, trading 53.18, up about $2.50 or nearly 5% today. So a spicy day for Aramark. Oh, they're trying. I was joking, but they are trying to get into this. They're trying to get on the data center expansion. I guess they want to put cafeterias and data centers. Either way, they're popping today. Looks like it's been a pretty decent year for Aramark. In fact, it's been mostly a good month and a half. If you went back to where they were a year ago, they're right around $39, and where they were at the end of March, it was $39. So it was a wasted year pretty much. And pretty much over the last month and change, ever since the market started its big bull run, Aramark has shot up. It topped out at $46 back on April 23rd. Then they kind of drifted lower. And then, of course, on the last couple of sessions, it's gone from about $44 all the way up to $53 right now. So a hot time in Aramark. They just had earnings, obviously, and they were pretty good. Organic revenue surging 12%. Price targets going up. Apparently the demise of the corporate cafeteria is overdone, Mr. Flowmaster.
Yeah, this is I don't know, but I don't know about them getting into the AI. I mean, if people are starting to stick AI on their company name, it's a little reminiscent of the .com bubble, and actually the first AI bubble. Because remember when like kombucha breweries were changing their names to .ai and pivoting, and well, we've seen some of that interesting pivoting, and maybe it works. But in Aramark today, and actually this one is it is directional, and they had earnings a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday. But what we see today is 28,000 calls have traded in Aramark and 42 puts. So a very, very lopsided piece of option flow. That call volume is basically 49 times the daily expected level. This thing only trades, doesn't even average over 1,000 contracts a day. So this is a pretty quiet name. Basically, the focus is at the 60 strike. So 16,000 of those June 60 calls have traded it's a buyer. Volatility's higher. It's kind of got all the hallmarks. And actually, I looked back. This is the busiest day for call trading in Aramark since like 2020. So it really does stand out. There's some relatively big chunks, like 2,300 of those straight calls bought for up to a quarter, 1,500 of the June 55s for 50 cents. A lot of sweeps. Kind of just looks like somebody's snapping up what they can. Stock is at 53.24 right now. Most of these things kind of hit the tape when the stock was a little lower, like around 51.5, 52. So very bullish. I don't know if maybe they'll pivot into sort of pure AI play or not, but it's again, on these days, the periods where we've got, several days of kind of the market strength, people get not only do they get a little comfortable, but they get a little aggressive in kind of some of the speculating, and sometimes it works out. In this one, worth watching. I might kind of take a little bit of stock at 53 and a quarter, or because it has bid up the vol a little bit. The vol's up about 6 points at the 30-day level, and so-called Skew is inverted as well, and that's actually been a pretty big signature of kind of what we've seen lately. Is about 43% of the single stock names out there have that high call Skew, which like I said, it certainly shows that there's a lot of bullish sentiment, and you don't want to kind of fight that trend. It does not mean that the market's going to keep going higher, but you got to be pretty careful. It certainly makes call spreads cheap, right? Because the one you're selling as the further out of the money leg is kind of bid up. And in fact, I was even looking at some zero cost collars in some of these inverted names, like even Microsoft. I encourage people to go look at the options prices in some of these big names, and you can do it pretty simple. Look at the Junes, go say 5 to 10% out of the money, both to the upside and the downside, and just look at those premiums. And there's cases out there now where you can pick up a credit to collar your stock. You still keep a little bit of the upside, but you basically get kind of a free hedge that kicks in not very far out of the money. And these conditions don't usually stick around for that long. So that is what we're seeing out there.
Mr. Flowmaster, when I say to you massive AI data center in the middle of nowhere, does that scream to you large workforce that needs a cafeteria?
Well, the computers are hungry.
Yes,
they definitely.
Clearly they are. If I had to make a list of names that I thought would benefit from the AI boom, Aramark would kind of be down at the bottom of that list. In fact, all the corporate cafeterias I could think of near our studio here, Boeing used to have one right across the street. All of them have closed. I think some of them were run by Aramark. So it seemed like they were drifting towards oblivion, but apparently they saw that, Mr. Flowmaster. They announced the launch of their Aramark Nexus. This is a new platform dedicated to providing integrated hospitality and workforce support services, whatever that means, for the hyperscaler AI data center market. They say they've already signed a multi-year agreement with a top hyperscaler, which it expects will become its largest client. So AI might take over their entire business. Either that's a sign that the rest of their business has fallen off the radar, or all those AI data center workers, Mr. Flowmat, all 8 of them, they're going to be very hungry. So apparently, wow. I joke here about the just whisper the magical letters of AI, but clearly Aramark took that advice to heart, and hey, it's working for them. The analysts are buying it. The stock market's buying it. So there you go, listeners. You want an AI play, corporate cafeterias is the way to go. Sometimes you can't make this stuff up as you keep rolling and go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on till our next episode on Monday, or at least through the weekend. And you know what? The rally seems to have firmed itself up. S&P up about 0.8%, back up ever so slightly above the 7,500 level. But you know what? That's enough for VIX to come back to earth below 17.5 now, right around 1740. So that puts it down about 1/3 of a point from where it was at the start of the show. Dow up about 3/4 of a point. NASDAQ up exactly 1%. Who can't be excited on the day when we are literally feeding AI? At least that's what Aramark is trying to do. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are your thoughts on corporate cafeterias pivoting into the AI world? And what else are you keeping an eye on until the Monday show, sir?
Well, I can't say I have that much of an opinion on corporate cafeterias. Although I didn't know that the Boeing one closed, like you had said. I did not know that because you loved that place.
They used to be a great one. They used to have barbecues on the river. Yeah, but Boeing left, and I guess it kind of took their last big client with it.
I guess so. So anyway, yeah, just in terms of what I'm watching, the all-time highs in the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, that's what it all boils down to with where we are. Also watching to see if there's any interesting news out of China with the president over there at this stage. So, but all things that you need to watch right now have something to do with the Strait of Hormuz, in my opinion.
Or AI-fed corporate cafeterias, huh? I can't let go of that one. That one's just too good. All right, Mr. Flowmaster, sir. That's why I like when you join us on the show every Thursday, Mr. Flowmaster, because you uncover nuggets like this, like Aramark, pivoting towards AI. The pivot towards AI, it's the new pivot to crypto from 5 years ago. Mr. Flowmaster, sir, what are you keeping an eye on till you join us again next week?
Oh, man, there's a lot. We do have NVIDIA earnings, I believe, next week, don't we, on the 20th?
I do believe you do. We do, sir. I should say yes.
So that might have something. The macro picture, for sure. These, looming AI trillion-dollar IPOs that people are talking about. Watching kind of volatility. I don't. It's funny you're talking about Boeing. I have a theory. Maybe Aramark has figured out a way to turn like grease into a power plant.
It fuels the grease fuels the power. I like it.
Something like biodiesel. But it's funny though because like Boeing's getting smacked. It's down almost 4%. The headlines say that China is going to buy 200 jets, but the stock price doesn't seem to like it very much. So I don't know what's really going on there, but there's just a lot going. There's a lot of activity. The headline risk obviously is significant. But what's interesting is, we keep basically having these gaps to the upside. Even yesterday, we were down. I think the S&P was down about 30 or 40, kind of for a bit in the morning, and we turned around and there was no looking back. And today's the same deal. S&P up, like you said, almost 1%. Nasdaq up a full percent. I would say, you got to be careful. Don't get too casual about what you're trading, but there's a lot of things moving around, and it's a great environment for trading options, trading stocks, ETFs, a little bit of everything. And VIX around 17 or 18 is kind of a nice little sweet spot. It's not so dead that the premiums are low, but it's also not 24, 25% where it gets kind of scary.
All right, listeners, the music means we are done, at least for the old OB. If you want some more in your lives, I'll be back with some special guests on TWIFO coming up in a little bit. What will we talk about? You got to tune in to find out. But equities will probably be on the radar. Maybe some energy. Who knows? Maybe some ags. Maybe FX. You never know what's going to make it onto the show. That's why you got to tune in each week. But before we go, Mr. Flowmaster, if folks want to tune in to some cool Cboe goodies, where should they go? What should they do?
You can always just head over to Cboe.com. We've got great product pages and blogs and all sorts of kind of information there. You can dig into our new products like the Mag 10 index options, the our CBTX and MBTX, which are Bitcoin indexes. And Cboe.com/RMA is where we have our data and platforms, and you can take a look at what we offer.
I got to imagine Flow's been decent in those Mag 10s. A good time to be having some Mag 10 options in your back pocket, sir.
Yeah, we're actually seeing average volume in there is around 2,000 contracts a day now. It's been pretty steady. I saw Robinhood actually put it in one of their emails out to their 20 million accounts to specifically call out that it was available. And, they certainly have a great distribution network. And I expect that's where a lot of it's coming from.
Hit us with the ticker again if folks want to check them out.
MGTN, Mag 10. It's the Mag 7 plus AMD, Broadcom, and Palantir.
Why would you include AMD in these days? I mean, it's not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
Check them out for yourselves, listeners. Mag 10, a lot of cool stuff over there. Kick off your journey, Cboe.com, Cboe.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. And Mr. Uncle Mike, where should folks go if they want to discuss the glory of cafeterias and AI data centers, sir?
By all means, go to stcharleswealth.com, book an appointment with me. Would love to have a conversation with any and all of our listeners. It's always fun to hear people on the other side if you are looking for a financial advisor who will talk about corporate cafeterias and options all in one phone call. Show me any other advisor on planet Earth that's willing to do that.
I cannot, sir. Check him out, stcharleswealth.com, the place to go to kick the tires and light the fires. That's going to do it for us. Back again in a little bit. If you're hanging out in the pro, just hang out. We'll be back post-haste with more great content for you. Then back again after the closing bell to break down what is shaping up to be a hot day on the appropriately named The Hot Options Report. Then back again tomorrow to talk some vol. I got a feeling Dr. Vix will have some thoughts on this market, as well as all sorts of other fun on volatility views. Back one final time for the week for our pro friends with a little bit of options oddities. And we're back again on Monday to commence our broadcast week with some trivia battling on the next episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
The Option Block is brought to you by Cboe. Cboe's suite of S&P 500 index options, SPX and mini S&P 500 XSP options, allows traders to speculate on the direction of the market, generate income, and hedge for downside protection of their portfolio of stocks. No matter what kind of trader you are, there's plenty of useful information to take the guesswork out of creating your portfolio strategy and to help you make more educated moves in the market. Visit www.cboe.com/SPX today to learn more. The views expressed herein are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Cboe Global Markets Incorporated or any of its subsidiaries, collectively Cboe. The information provided is for general education and information purposes only. There are important risks associated with transacting in any of the Cboe products or any of the digital assets discussed here. Before engaging in any transactions in those products or digital assets, it is important for market participants to carefully review the disclosures and disclaimers contained at www.cboe.com/US_disclaimers. These products and digital assets are complex and are suitable only for sophisticated market participants. These products involve the risk of loss, which can be substantial and, depending on the type of product, can exceed the amount of money deposited in establishing the position. Market participants should put at risk only funds they can afford to lose without affecting their lifestyle.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.